We have some breaking news as the Celtics just got an absolute steal, picking up Lonnie Walker IV as their final roster spot acquisition on a veteran minimum contract. And it's absolutely crazy that the Boston Celtics were able to get Lonnie Walker on this type of deal with the new CBA. And Celtics fans have been screaming for the Lonnie Walker acquisition, and Brad Stevens finally pulled the trigger. How will he fit into this Celtics crowded backcourt? What will his position look like with this team? We'll be diving into all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. Without further ado, let's dive into the news at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. But as you guys know, Lonnie Walker is now a Boston Celtic as he just signed moments ago. And I am absolutely ecstatic with this move, like a lot of other Celtics fans over on Twitter and X. Now, I know a lot of fans have been preaching for Lonnie Walker. I've been a fan of him since Miami days before he got drafted. And this guy is going to blossom in this system. I guarantee it. He's already showing signs of him getting better through the years. He's only 25 years old of age. And I swear to God, Brad Stevens, if you're on Twitter, saw the Dunk Central's post tweeting, why has nobody picked up Lonnie Walker, and said, give me that. Let's dive into the news at hand. Like we mentioned, Lonnie Walker has gotten picked up by this Celtics squad, as reported from Adrian Wojnarowski. Free agent guard Lonnie Walker IV has agreed on a one-year deal with the Celtics, as his agent George S. Langberg of GSL Sports Group tells ESPN. Now, Walker averaged 9.7 points and shot 38% on the field from three-point range in 58 games for Brooklyn last season. Now, a guy like Lonnie Walker, I personally think, is a steal on this type of contract. And ultimately, with the new CBA, it's left some of these guys that are players that are young enough who still have growing potential, but maybe haven't found their system or haven't found the right team to really show their best potential. Kind of lost taking these, veteran minimum contracts because there's no money from these teams in free agency to even give them to kind of, bank on them to kind of blossom into those roles. They have to kind of trade some of their other guys, and it's a little impossible, especially with the restrictions with the second apron and stuff like that. So ultimately, some guys like Lonnie Walker, Tyus Jones, Gary Trent Jr. are going to have to take this veteran minimum contract. And it's absolutely crazy that Lonnie Walker had to wait this long before he finally got his deal. Let's look a little bit more into Lonnie Walker's stats. Like we mentioned, guys, averaging around 9.7 points, 2.2 rebounds, and 1.3 assists on 42% shooting from the field, 38% shooting from three, and 45% from shooting on corner threes. Now, like I mentioned, he's 25 years of age, so he does still have a lot of time to grow, to blossom, to be a nice piece in this Celtics rotation and kind of stick around with this Celtics team if he does have a solid year. I truly think that his type of play style, the kind of presence that he can bring, will be definitely appreciated in Boston as well. Now, obviously, he's grown in every step that he's taken from coming from San Antonio all the way to Brooklyn. He's transformed his offensive game, kind of developing a shot and getting better and kind of blossoming on the Los Angeles Lakers, and then taking another deal, going over to Brooklyn and kind of getting his three-point shot volume down enough to where he can be a possible three-point threat. Now, as we saw with Xavier Tillman, we saw when he was acquired at the trade deadline last season, he wasn't the best three-point shooter, hadn't taken that many threes, but he had a big shot in game three and definitely developed his jump shot throughout the second half of the season alongside Al Horford and Kristaps Porziņģis. I ultimately truly think that the Celtics will do the same thing with integrating Lonnie Walker into the system, and I think that we could see that percentage jump up from a 38 percentage, getting into that 40th percentile from three-point range, especially playing a guy alongside guys like Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Sam Hauser, even the guards like Derrick White and Jaylen Brown and Jrue Holiday. Ultimately, I think Lonnie Walker is going to excel, going to succeed in the system, and Brad Stevens got another steal once again. Brad Stevens has been hitting on all cylinders for this Boston Celtics team, honestly, ever since he's become GM. And lately, the last 2 years, he has done a fantastic job going and get Kristaps Porziņģis, going out and getting Jrue Holiday, bringing both of those guys in, integrating them into this system. And realistically, the Celtics, with them or without them, were still the Celtics team that still brought that Celtic culture and were able to win games when these guys had injuries. Then you're looking at just the minor additions that they've made this offseason, bringing everybody back basically, besides Fima Hyluk, him getting, ultimately kind of replaced by Baylor Shireman. And now with this signing of Lonnie Walker and having the roster full, ultimately Noah Shaverset coming back at this very moment, closing the door on that at this very moment. But we can still see that this Celtics team is going to be dominant. I think Lonnie Walker is a fantastic addition. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about Lonnie Walker coming to this Celtics team? I know a lot of people on Celtics Twitter are very ecstatic. I'm personally very happy, as I've been a big fan of Lonnie Walker since he's gotten drafted. And I think he's really, really going to show to these Celtics fans and to the NBA kind of, hey, I'm going to ball out on a championship squad that is very deep, and then you could go out and pay me and get me my bag, and that I definitely deserve. And that is 100% what a guy like him should be doing at this moment. But let's dive into the next part here. We're just kind of talking about where Lonnie Walker fits in with this roster, because like we mentioned, this team now has 15 actual players under contract. The roster is full going into the season at this very moment, barring no changes. And they have all three of their two-way guys also signed in: Anton Watson, Drew Peterson, and JD Davison. Let's dive in and look at this. Like we mentioned, Bobby Manning saying Celtics had interest in Lonnie Walker at the deadline and now get him in late August into their 15th roster spot. We'll wait more contract details to forecast his role. With the rest inevitable, he might fit in on certain nights to provide some points creation in a crowded backcourt. And he is not wrong. If you look at this team right here, as we can see, looking at this roster, these are all the 14 guys that are on the team. And looking at kind of where Lonnie Walker fits at 6'5", he's going to be a player that's going to be primarily playing that 2 position in this Celtics team. And at that backup position, at that guard, there are a lot of names depending on what lineups you want to run with this Celtics team. We obviously know Jaylen Brown primarily plays 3 now with this rotation, plays that forward spot, but he can slot into the 2. Holiday and Derrick White can both play the 2 at some points. Peyton Pritchard can play mainly the point guard, but he's another point guard, and that's in system. And now you have Jaden Springer, another young guy who the Celtics, traded for at the trade deadline, really believed in with Sam Cassell, coaching him in the Philadelphia 76ers last year and wanting to go after him at the trade deadline, really believe in him. And he really shined in that first summer league game that he played with this team this year. So ultimately, having a guy like him alongside a guy like Lonnie Walker is going to be a little bit of a competition battle and something that we're definitely going to have to keep our eyes on. Now, ultimately, I could see something where they're kind of battling throughout the season, kind of fighting for that backup 2 spot, competing some nights. Maybe a night they need some more offense, they go Lonnie Walker. Some nights they need more defense, they go a guy in Jaden Springer. Or maybe we see a variation of all 3: Pritchard, Springer, and Lonnie Walker kind of rotating into that guard system, having a little 5 guard system, ultimately kind of finding out who blossoms and who kind of fits where. Now, ultimately, with Lonnie Walker being on that veteran minimum contract, I do think that his tenure with the Celtics will stay for the longevity of the full year and that he will not be, explored in any trades. But maybe a possibility of a guy like Jaden Springer as a young prospect does look appealing to some other teams. And if he is looking good and having some bright, shining moments with the Celtics squad, but Lonnie Walker is also looking good, maybe at the deadline, that's something they look to kind of keep their eyes on, and possibly something like that. I'm not saying that's for sure, but definitely with this crowded guard system, we saw Peyton Pritchard get frustrated just a couple years ago when it was already 4 guys in that guard rotation, when it was Peyton Pritchard, Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, all competing for those guard minutes for the Boston Celtics. Now, obviously, with Holiday, Pritchard, White, Springer, and Lonnie Walker, is definitely going to be a congested room. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys really feel about this acquisition. I'm very ecstatic. I'm very hyped up. I went to come record another video, sat down, saw this news, had to get to it for you guys. So I wanted to break it for you guys and get in all of that. Lastly, before we head out, you got to get to the comment of the day. So drop down your comments, like I mentioned, so you can get featured for the comment of the day here. Today's lucky commenter is Phil Chiria or Kyra. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. 5928. This is on our video talking about Peyton Pritchard, where he was said by Bleacher Report to be one of the best valued contracts in the NBA. He said Pritchard would start on half of the NBA teams last year. I swear, last season they promised him if he stayed on a rookie deal and not pushed to go elsewhere, his minutes and value would go up. And with a ring in his performance in the playoffs, there's no doubts he'd be a top 3 somewhere. Flut just out like the Patriots is so long. Winning keeps people around and draws talent to you. I just think people underestimate him because he's a bench role player. But he's absolute a steal for this price. And I couldn't agree more. Peyton Pritchard, guys, ladies and gentlemen, is on a $7 million contract. Take that into consideration here. He is on a steal of a deal, and he's only getting better, only can develop more. And like I said, he could start on a plethora of these young, kind of gritty teams that are in the NBA that are looking for a young point guard, they could look at a guy being Pritchard, but no, he'd rather stay in Boston, push for those chips, and I appreciate that from Pritchard himself. But like I said, drop down your thoughts, how you guys feel about this signing Lonnie Walker. Like I said, A+ from Brad Stevens. Got another slam dunk, and I can't wait to see the Celtics team come out in October. The anticipation is already there, and now that we just got this signing of Lonnie Walker, it is going to be eating at me more. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Hit that subscribe button so we can get to 6,000 subscribers by the start of the season. 400 away. You guys have been absolutely crushing it. I'm Bruce Velez. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. Peace out. Go Boston Celtics.